Join the team.
Hey, theMCGuiRE Review, and today we're going to take a look at Set a Watch. Now, this is a game that's been out for a little while, and they've got a number of different products. We're going to go through those products and kind of explain what Set a Watch is about, and we're going to look kind of at gameplay and kind of what kind of game you can get here with Set a Watch, because I do think that Manor Games, and that's the publisher on this, has done a really nice job with this particular series, this set of games, and kind of where they took it and what this larger box down here is. If you're a Set a Watch fan, you definitely know what Doomed Run is. But we're going to get into that and explain kind of how the system works and why I think this is actually a pretty unique, fly under the radar type kind of game that I think from certain perspectives is a definite add to your collection, and I definitely think is something that even from an individual perspective definitely should be part of your collection because it offers a lot of really cool stuff. Before we get into that, I do want to shout out real quick into the AM. You can click the link below. You can grab a discount code. There's a discount code for the channel as well as a link. If you're looking to kind of build out your cool t-shirt department, you can do that with Into the AM. They have tons of other clothing as well. You can check out their website, and they're going to be running some summer sales on their stuff, so you do want to go check it out. And they got bundles as well, which is really cool. So you can get like 3 t-shirts, and when you do it that way, they're actually really, really well priced. Very high quality stuff. I've washed these multiple times, worn these multiple times. They do have a nice fit to them. They have a really nice, good fit. They have a really high quality feel and look. And I definitely stand behind the product. So we have been doing some shout outs for Into the AM on the channel. And if you do want to pick up some t-shirts and different things, that's a way you can support the channel. So with that, let's get back into what today is all about, which is Set a Watch. Now, these things that we have here are all the extra products outside of their original release of Set a Watch. Now, what's cool about this game is you get a lot of nice high-end components. You get the little wood bits. You get the nice dice. The box actually dubs as your game board, which I'm a huge fan of. Anybody who does this kind of stuff, where they use the boxes to dub as the game boards, that's just, in my opinion, it's a better use of the components. It's a better experience. It's one more thing you don't have to get out and deal with. You just use the box that everything is stored in. And this one does it very well. The entire inside of the box is used. This whole top part, it does have a magnet enclosure. We'll look at that when we get these out. It's all very high quality from that perspective, so I love it from a component side. The artwork is awesome. I love the artwork, and you'll see this stuff on the side-by-side cam as we kind of go through what we've got here. The artwork is fantastic on this game. The characters are cool, and each one of these releases will kind of give you another feel of this game. So we'll get there in a second. So let's talk about what do you get in Set a Watch. Set a Watch is a 1 to 4 player game. It's a awesome solo experience. I highly recommend it from a solo perspective. It is a very fun co-op experience as well. And I think it's one of those co-op experiences where you can easily just sit around the table and just have fun. I don't think the whole analysis paralysis thing doesn't take over too bad in this game. I don't feel like it's a little bit more straightforward. And I also don't think that the one person sort of controlling everything takes over too bad. You're definitely going to have conversation when you're playing multiplayer. That is a definite thing. It's not one of those co-ops where you're going to go around the table and just like, oh, it's your turn. Now I can not pay attention. It's your turn. And then, oh, you added to the goodness. Okay, now it's your turn. No. You are really going to have a lot of conversation when it is the player's turn and you're kind of going through. Because it's very important to take out this line of monster cards that end up getting put out in front of you when you're on watch. The premise is before you go on watch, or you can think about it as before you go in to do your battle for the evening, one of the characters is going to stay back in the camp. The camp is this board right here. And there's a number of things that character is going to be able to do. And that's going to happen before the other 3 characters that are on watch actually interact with these monsters and try to take them all out. So there's a number of things you can do. You can chop firewood, which this ring here in the center, you're going to be able to increase the fire. So you're kind of building up your fire. And thematically, when you build up your fire, what happens? Well, you can see a little further. So the further you build up the fire, the more of these monster cards you can flip at once to kind of reveal, so you know what's coming. You won't just turn all these over, you'll reveal them one at a time based on your fire level around this ring. And then that's all the information you know. So you're not really sure, like if you can only turn over 3 of these and you get your fire way up, you're not really sure what these 3 are. And it's interesting because there's abilities that the characters have where you can just randomly take out a monster that's unrevealed. And sometimes you get really lucky by doing that, sometimes you do not. So the more of these that you can reveal, the better, because you have more information that you can then figure out how to utilize all of the abilities and attacks in the most efficient way to be able to get rid of these monsters. That is the core component of this game. It is characters working together with a very, I would say, a limited set of skills and abilities. We'll look at a couple of these characters here. It isn't overwhelming by any means. It's just like a few things that you would do on your turn outside of just straight like attacking with these dice. It's not overwhelming from that perspective, and I think that's good with the design of a game like this. So you're going to want to use all that information together to take out as many of these as you can. That is the premise of this game. Okay, so let's go back to camp here. You're going to chop firewood, get a bigger fire. You can scout ahead, so you can actually look at the monster cards that are coming. You can also check your map. So there's map cards that flip every single time. You'll see this on the side-by-side cam. And on those map cards, there's a number of things. You'll set, well, let's just look at one here. You'll set your fire level, so you may have to reduce your fire basically when you travel to this area. Like this one's the underground tomb that I'm looking at here. The number that is in the top right is how many enemies you're actually going to draw from the enemy deck to line up, and that might be different. So every one of these locations are different. And that's why checking the map might be a very effective piece of information, because you actually get to take one of these unused maps and the current maps. There's a couple different piles of different types of cards, and you get to look at them and be like, oh, okay, I'll put this one on the top of this deck and this one on the bottom of this other deck. That way you can kind of stack in your favor to say, hey, for this next round, we got a number of people that are wounded. We'll explain what that means here in a minute. So maybe we want to go with a location that has like fewer monsters, or maybe doesn't impact our fire as much. Or maybe has an ability, because a lot of these areas have abilities. Like the Underground Tomb says, reduce the creatures revealed by the campfire reveal level by 1. So that's always nice as well, because then you can reduce how many creatures actually come out and spawn. So that's how that's going to work. There's also equip. So you can choose to equip different skills. Every single character does come with 5 different abilities. You'll put 3 of them on your card and you'll be using those, and then when you go back to camp you can equip by swapping them out. And there'll be reasons to do that as you're playing the game. You may want to swap some of these out. Sometimes you may not ever swap any of them out at all. You just actually like the ones that you have on your board. But there will be situations where for the next round you're like, you know what, I really need to bring in Sharpshooter and then get rid of Farsight, right? Just for an example for the Ranger here. I love the Ranger. Also love the beat. To tell you the truth, I really like the characters in this set. I'm a big fan of the characters in this set in particular, and I also really like the characters in Forsaken Isles. That's another one that I really like the character sets in. The characters are cool. They're different in each one of these sets, but for me, I really like the ones in the base, and I really like the ones in Forsaken Isles. So we're going to look at that here in a second. You can heal, okay, and healing is essentially flipping over one of these cards that's exhausted. When you exhaust these cards, you either exhaust them because you use it without putting a die on it, like spending a die. You can use them without having to spend one of your die, essentially. You don't want to do that unless you absolutely have to, because then you have to exhaust it. And you will lose the game if all of the characters on watch have all of their abilities exhausted. That is one way that you can completely lose the game. And that can happen very quickly, mind you, because usually you're going to have one of your abilities exhausted, because you start the game that way. And then you have to heal before you can get it back. Or something else in the game, like some type of ability or something, can bring it back. But That can happen very quickly, especially if you don't take out these monsters, because let's say you only took out 4 of the 6 and the round was over because all of your dice had been exhausted and you didn't really have any other abilities to fire off. You would then have to, take these cards and whatever damage they did. That doesn't really matter. You basically just resolve those cards by you have to flip over your cards, which then exhausts them and gets you closer to death, or has more of them exhausted where you can't use them for the next round unless you heal. So that's the real balance, I think, in this game, is making sure that these cards don't get exhausted and effectively utilizing your dice. Okay. Now, in the camp, that is pretty much everything that you can do while you're in your camp, outside of the fact that each character has a special camp ability. And you can only use that when you're in the camp. So for the Elven Scout, draw the top 4 cards of the creature deck, look at them, and return them on top of the creature deck in any order, for example. Okay, the Cleric, choose an adventurer, refresh 1 of their ability cards. Okay, that's pretty awesome. So they all have a camp ability that goes on top of anything that's going in there, and you're going to figure out when you want to use that camp ability as well. Because again, you're all working together. Who stays behind? Who are the 3 that go out on watch? If you stay behind, your activity for, let's say, that round is essentially the stuff that you're doing in camp and then firing off your ability. You're not going to do anything else. The other 3 players, once we get to the watch phase in this version, because there's a merchant phase in some of these, you're going to be fighting and amongst yourselves. The person in camp is not going to be allocating dice to the fight. Okay, they have fulfilled their need for that round. When you go into your watch, the characters are going to roll these dice. Actually, when you start off a round, all characters, because even the people that are staying behind will do things in the camp. I did forget one more thing in the camp. You can put dice, if you get doubles, you can put dice on the back of the map card, and that will provide you 3 different abilities. You can vanquish, and you can seal, and you can bolster. So what that will do is it'll allow you to get rid of cards, or kind of heal up people, or it will allow you to seal away enemies in the deck. So it just gives you kind of a little bit of a bonus for that round, and it is very advantageous for you to do those things when you do roll doubles and you're staying behind in camp. Okay, that's everything for camp. You're going to start off with rolling these dice, and whatever they say, that's going to be what you're going to get for the round, unless you bolster and you're able to re-roll any number of your dice, which is a very effective thing to also get as well, to really help with the re-rolls, especially if you get 5, a 6, and a 1. Okay, let's re-roll that 1, see if we can get something a little bit higher. Because you can use those dice to put them directly, once these things are revealed. And, they have different abilities as well based on where they are in the line. So this one has the amount of health is based, the health is based on the 16 minus whatever the fire is. The Lich has 14 health. You're going to work that health down by taking dice. Whatever numbers on the dice, you're doing that much damage, so you can put a die there. Then another character could be like, oh, we just did 6 damage. Okay, I'm going to do 7 damage. Okay, now we're at 13. He's only got 1 life. Okay, we left with this 1. Boom, there's another one. Okay, he's dead. And he's out, right? But now we've just used 3 dice. So if we want, the other way we use these dice is we can actually take these die, and it doesn't matter what side it's on, and we can put it on an ability, and then we can use that ability without having to exhaust it. If we run out of dice and we want to use an ability and we don't have dice to put on it, then you do have to flip it over and exhaust it, and then you can actually do what its ability is. Okay, so that's how that's going to work. There are these little spots up top where you'll put your dice to kind of start, and then your dice will go to different places as you're playing over the course of the round to take things out. It really is that simple. You'll find a lot of these abilities. For the Cleric here, so just to give an example, Blinding Light, reveal up to 2 creatures in the order of your choosing, treating any revealed abilities as if they were blank. Okay, that's awesome. Banish, choose an unrevealed Unhallowed. Unhallowed are the big kind of boss type creatures, or undead creature. Place that creature at the bottom of the creature's deck. So really nice being able just to grab that and get rid of it and get it out of the way. So, like long shot, defeat one unrevealed creature card in the line. So it has to be unrevealed. It could be any one of them, and I can just say I'm going to defeat this creature. And that might be a creature that has 15 health, or it might be a creature that has 3 health. We don't know. But that can be really beneficial. I love the Beastmaster, where you get to tame things. So there's various different, what they call forest creatures. And these cards, they're very basic. They give you like a little armor here at the top, and then a little health right there, as well as they have some abilities too, and then they'll tell you what like kind of class of creature they are. So like this Lich is actually an unhallowed. This Shade is a shadow elemental. Those are all how they work. And if you get a forest creature, then you can actually tame any of the forest creatures with the Beastmaster, which means you don't have to fight it. You basically just get it if you have those abilities, and now you can use it to be equal to its health. That's pretty much like the damage you can. It's almost like an extra die that's of the health, the size of the health, and you can just use it. So I love the Beastmaster. Whenever those creatures come out, you can tame up to 2 creatures at a time. So the Beastmaster effectively can have 5 dice, 2 of which can only be utilized to attack. You can't take this and say, oh, well, it's a die, and use it for an ability, but you essentially have 5 dice to attack with the Beastmaster if you can tame up to 2 of those. And I would say get your 2, there's not a lot of forest creatures in the deck, so get your 2 tamed creatures, save them for when you really need them, where it's really going to make a difference, and you can send in like a couple bears to do your bidding. So I absolutely love playing the Beastmaster. So cool. All right, how are you going to lose? You're going to lose, again, if all your characters that are on watch, they all have their abilities exhausted. So these little red shields get on everything. At that point, you would be dead, and the game would be over. Or if you need to draw from the unhallowed deck, and the unhallowed deck is empty. So the unhallowed deck is kind of like your big enemy deck, and those will come out. They're in the creatures deck. They will come out over the course of play. They're harder to hit. Like the Lich here is a 14. That's a lot of health there, and it does have an ability on top of that. So a little bit of a harder battle, something more you got to deal with, especially when it's in a line with a bunch of other creatures. So that unhallowed deck works a little bit like a Doom track, you could think. But I would say that you're usually going to lose the game based on the fact of all of your character's abilities getting exhausted versus, the cards running out here. At least that's what I've experienced. Okay? You're going to win after you get to the final rounds. This game will have essentially 9 rounds, because every single character has to stay in the camp twice. That's this little wooden token. I love these little laser cut wooden tokens. They've got a little tint on it. It's got a little 1 on one side and a 2 on the other side. So I like to stack them all up here in the center, and then once you go on a camp, you stay back at camp, you put it on your board as 1, and then when you decide to stay again at some point, you put it on your board as 2, and now that character can no longer stay behind. So you are kind of forced as well. You can't just have the same character with a great camp ability always stay behind. Each character can only stay behind twice, and twice only. And then on the final round, or the 9th round of the game, all 4 characters go on watch. It's like everybody's in just charging for the final row and the final round to make the kill and win the game. And then once all characters come on that 9th round, and if you defeat all the cards that are in the line, all cards have to be defeated, you then win the game set of watch. So that's how the game works at a high level. Those are all the components. Those are all the mechanics. That's all the stuff that you're going to be doing as you're playing. So, like I said, very straightforward game. I love these games that are designed from the perspective of it's thematically cool. It's mechanically cool. It's not overloaded with rules by any means. It's very straightforward. The characters are very straightforward. They're very thematic. They got a set number of things. Their diets are all different depending on what they do. Like you'll see here D6, but then there's other D6 that I have here, as well as you've got like D8s over here. And then there's other characters that have other types of dice that you'll see in these other sets right here. So very cool. Low cost. I highly recommend picking up one of these Set of Watch sets. So now let's talk about what we have here. Then we've got a very small, just kind of card. It's sort of your standard card expansion. This can only be used, though, with the original Set a Watch and Swords of the Coin, which was the second release, and it's this box right here. We're going to take a look at it here in a second. So this can only be used with those two. I do like to use this primarily with the base, because I think it kind of spices the base up with some cool, like, new monsters and new artwork. This first version is the basic version of this game. And what I mean by that is once you start to get into these other sets that they've released, they do make it a little bit more advanced from the perspective of you'll gain coins when you take out monsters. You can use those coins in a merchant phase to gain items and weapons that now your characters can get specific items and weapons and things from that perspective. Even some, like, they introduce some like powerful artifacts that come into phase here. But outside of that, it's exactly the same, right? Your box is going to have a little bit of a different artwork and different look and feel. Your artwork is going to be different. One of the things that I really like about this one is it has a very sort of fall kind of Halloween type theme. There's even a where is it? There's even like a pumpkin that's in here. Where's my pumpkin jack? Okay, so it's a scarecrow, right? They brought like a scarecrow in here. It's got kind of that pumpkin look. So I really love the artwork. The artwork is very unique for each one of the sets. This is such a cool piece. Like, there's so many awesome things. There's also a familiar in this one. You've got a cat and a crow for one of the characters. One of the characters has got like a special like weapon that is a unique like special thing. You've got the little coins that you'll get, and then you do have a merchant, and there's all kinds of different items. I really like the items in this set as well. And you'll see this on side by side. Crossbow, the elves, lucky charm, cat's eye. The items are really unique. I thought the artwork was done really, really well on the items on this particular set. And I think they're even better, in my opinion, in comparison to the Forsaken Isles. I'm not sure why. The Forsaken Isles seemed a little bit more general, where the items in this particular set had just a really cool artwork and fantasy theme feel. So if you want the extra bit, if you want the kind of extra, we'll say, mechanic of the merchant and the items, then Set a Watch, Swords of the Coin, I highly recommend this particular set. You don't have to have this one to play this one. This is not an expansion of this. They're all standalone, okay? That's another thing that makes these really nice. If you love this and you already have the base, then you can get another one that's themed different with a little bit of extra mechanic. I think this right here is the sweet spot for me. Then we've got, set these out here. Then we've got Set a Watch, Forsaken Isle. Now this one came in kind of a fancy sleeve. This was from their they did a recent Kickstarter where they had this one as well as what Doomed Run is. Same thing here, different art style. They're going to have different monsters. Mechanically, it's very similar to this one. You've got the coins. You've got one of the characters that's actually a golem, like a rock golem. They've got really cool characters in this one. This is where I think they've done a really good job. And I think from a marketing perspective, this is probably why this is this way. This one is kind of your classic RPG artwork experience feel. This one has, I think, very cool characters, but I actually like the characters better in this one. But better items, better, like, there's other aspects of this that feel like thematically cooler that I really like. And then here on Forsaken Isles, they nailed it with the characters. You get the druid, you get the rock golem, you get all these really cool characters that are in this one that have very, very cool abilities. And the weapons are cool as well, but they did, for some reason, they just have more of kind of a general RPG feel, like the sword, the arrow, the dart. I don't know what it is. The items here just really draw me in versus the ones that are here. You do get a few extra little bits and things in this game. There's one more kind of component. As I said, there's other types of dice, right? So here we got a D12, you know, so one of the characters is going to have 3 D12s versus D8s or D6s. So each character, depending on what they do, will have different stuff, right? Other than that, for the most part, right, outside of the merchant and like items and different things like that, these are essentially the same. So if you want more than the basic feel, you know, it's up to you which one of these you want to go with. Or if you've never played this game, you may just want to skip the base and go right to one of these sets, because then you get the extra thing of also having the items and the merchant, and it does add a little bit more to the game, and it is a lot of fun. Okay, so you may just want to skip right over the base, unless you're just looking for that more straightforward, you know, cut out all the other stuff, just give me the core mechanic of the game. So I love the design aspect they've done there. This is Doomed Run. Now you're like, wow, that's a big box, and it is significantly larger than any of these other sets, and there's a good reason for that, because they kind of went the route that many games have gone, which is creating the legacy campaign experience, right? And that's what Doomed Run is. And they did it pretty unique. They did it in a pretty unique way. It actually utilizes, I'll open this up here. It actually utilizes, and I haven't taken everything out because I like to keep my stuff separate. So that's one of the things that we'll talk through. This is designed for these boxes to actually all be held down in here. So you can put all 3 of your Set A Watch boxes down in this box, and it fits perfect. All your stuff, even this. You have to have everything for Set A Watch to be able to play this as it's designed. So you would have to have the little card expansion, all 3 of the individual pieces, and then you would sets, and then you would have this here, which comes with very little. It comes with a set of like small set of cards here, small set of cards here, and then what you'll do is you'll read this material. It does have an extra board, and it does have other characters as well. It has a little bit of a different board. It is double-sided, and it's a kind of your campaign board, and you'll read in here how to organize. So essentially what they want you to do is take all the components out of each one of your sets, take all the boxes, throw them in there to store them. And then they have some nice dividers, and you'll divide and you'll put everything out that you're going to be able to use to play. Just makes setup a little bit quicker, because when you start the campaign, it's done over the course of 7 realms. So you go into each realm, you have your battle, you have your thing, you have your storyline, you defeat the realm, and you go on. You can kind of save in between, right? Like any of these type of campaign style games. But when you set up a realm, it'll tell you exactly what you need. Like, hey, you need these monsters from this set. You need these 2 unhalloweds from this set. You need a couple cards. So you'll have it all organized. Otherwise, you're opening all these boxes and you're trying to go through all the cards. It's just a way to be able to set up your campaign and your realm experience much faster than what it would normally take. So I definitely think that if you're going to play this game from a campaign legacy experience, do that. Now, the other side of that is some folks aren't going to like that, because I like my games to be separated in these experiences, so I can go on a business trip, or I can go on a family vacation, or I can do whatever, go to a friend's house, I can grab one of these sets, I got everything I need, and I'm good to go. I can't really do that if I got it all unpacked inside of this box, or I got to bring this box and we have to play a much broader experience or one of those realms for the evening. So it's just not as easy as an entry point for people. So I do like to keep all of my stuff separate and then just take longer to be able to set it up. And then once it's done, separate everything and put it back in its box. So you're just going to have to think about that from like, is that from a play perspective? Is that something you're going to want to do? Sometimes with these legacy games, they come with all the stuff you need for the legacy. And then they may just say, hey, give me some basic components from the core part of the game. This one is designed very differently. This experience is made up 100% outside of the few things we've shown from all the components that are in all of the games. Okay, it's going to be like any legacy style game where you're going to have all of the, you're going to have all this stuff. Okay, you're going to have the envelopes. You're going to have characters and items and different things that you're going to unlock as you beat the various different realms. And you don't know what's in these things, but they're powerful mythic items. They are characters. They're all kinds of stuff. They're abilities. All kinds of things will be unlocked as you play the game. and you open those envelopes. All right, that's doomed run. That's as far as we're going to go into that, because I'm not going to spoil the components and the campaign and all of that. That's where I'm not going to do that, because this video is not for that. This video is to showcase the possibilities and what's available. Now, from a review perspective, can I recommend going this route? I don't know. And the reason is not because I have any issue with the experience. The experience is actually designed very well. It's a good story. It's a really cool concept. Especially if you've played all the different components of the different sets, like if you've played the different sets, when you mix them all together, it does give you this new and exciting thematic and adventurous feel. I absolutely love that. So they've done all those things really, really well. I think from a review perspective, it comes down just to and like a lot of videos we do here on the channel, because none of these things are paid for. It's not paid for ad. Yes, Rock Manor Games sent me this to take a look at, but this is not a paid for ad. What I think it really comes down to is, do you want that broader campaign legacy experience? Maybe you love this game, but you're not going to invest that much time to go through an entire legacy campaign of this game. Maybe you just highly enjoy sitting down for an hour by yourself or with friends and just playing the Set a Watch experience, and you pop it out 3-4 times a year maybe, and you're not looking for an entire massive campaign where you're going through a legacy experience. Maybe that's you, right? You could be someone, many titles have done this, right? Aeon's End came out with a legacy. Phenomenal game, Aeon's End. I love that. Am I going to play Aeon's End, the legacy experience? No, I'm not. Just did not interest me. I absolutely love Aeon's End. It's one of the best games out there from a card and a boss battler. But am I going to invest in a legacy experience? No, I'm not. It's just not going to be my thing. Pandemic. That's a fun game. I love the Pandemic system. I'm not going to invest in the Pandemic legacy system. It's just not something that is for me that I would want to do. This, having more of this adventurous thematic theme, I'm going to want to do this at some point. I mean, for me personally, I'm going to want to do this at some point. But that's not going to be for everybody. Because what's going to happen is you're going to get locked into that. Oh, I got to have it because I have this other Set a Watch stuff. You're going to get it. You're never going to play it. Or you're going to pull it out. You're going to start organizing it. You're going to play it once or twice. And then you're going to say, I'll get that later. And you're never going to play it again. This is really the experience for the gamer that is a big Set a Watch fan, is wanting to go on that longer adventure, is wanting to invest that time and get into it. That may be you. It may not be you. What I can say is I highly recommend getting one of these individual sets to start if you've never played it, or getting one of the new ones if you just have the base and you really never came back and got one of the expansions. I highly recommend getting one of these expansions with the coins and the merchant. It really adds another dynamic to the game. I can also say, if you're that person that wants that deeper experience and that just throw it all together and make it something new, I think you're really going to enjoy this. It's done very well. It is of decent length to go through all 7 realms, and it is replayable. Obviously, you're going to, unlock things that you're going to know are there by opening those envelopes, but it is a replayable experience that you can continue to kind of go through over and over if you wanted to. Again, from a review perspective, for me, I'm not a big play a whole campaign and then replay the whole campaign. I've never really understood that. For me, it's like once I invest, I play an entire board game campaign. I've experienced it. There's so many other options and things to do out there in this tabletop hobby. I'm looking to go for the next experience, not do the same experience all over again. So the huge replayability aspects for some of these games don't really appeal to me. It's like, let's just make sure the time I go through it and I experience it, it's really good and it's really solid, and I have a good time playing it. Not really looking for the replayability, but this particular one definitely has replayability built in. Okay, and then once you're done, you can allocate everything back to your individual sets. They all have a little icon on them, so you know which set they go to. and you can put everything back up. And that's probably what most people probably would do after they went through it. They would reallocate all the components back to their individual box sets and then just store everything in here. Okay? Team, that is Rock Manor Games Set a Watch and their entire platform that they have right now. If you're interested, check this out. I highly recommend it. And with that, team, keep rolling them crits. This has been the McGuire Review, and we'll see you next time.